Hello, today we're going to look at finding something called the lowest common multiple. And there's a couple different ways to do this. I'll start with probably the easiest way, but also sort of the least effective mathematically to do this. And that's just by using a multiplication table and finding what we talked about the other day, which are multiples. So for example, let's say I wanted to find the lowest common multiple of two numbers. Let's just use 4 and 10. So anyways, if I start to circle those multiples of 4 and 10 by skip counting, or adding 4 each time, I will probably notice pretty soon that the lowest common multiple of those two numbers is 20. So there's one way you can do it by using a multiplication table to determine which multiple of those numbers is the smallest. And again, this is a really good strategy to use when you are doing things like adding and subtracting fractions. So this is one way to find lowest common multiples. Another way to find lowest common multiples is to use something called the prime factorization of numbers, or something that I like to call repeated division. There's a lot of different ways to do prime factorization, but I find this one probably the easiest one to understand. We said the other day that prime numbers were numbers that have exactly two factors, 1 and itself. And when we thought about that top row in our sieve with those prime numbers, the ones that came up were 2, 3, 5, and 7. And those are the numbers that we're going to be using a lot when we're creating prime factors of various numbers. So we'll use the same example we did before. We'll use 4 and 10. So I'm going to put 4 like this and 10 like this. And we're going to start with our first prime number, which is 2. And I'm going to ask myself, am I able to divide 4 by 2 evenly, that is without any decimals? And the answer is yes. So 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. I can ask myself again, can I divide 2 by 2 in order to split it up evenly? And the answer is yes, I can divide it by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 1. I'm down to 1. I can't factor that number any further or divide it any further without creating decimals or fractions, so I'm pretty much finished there. And a good way to remember it is 1 and done. My two factors then of 4, which are prime, are 2 times 2. I'm going to go over to the 10 now and ask myself the same question. Starting with the prime number 2, am I able to divide 10 by 2 evenly? And the answer is yes. So 10 divided by 2 gives me 5. If I look at the 2 again, I can't divide 5 by 2 without creating a decimal, so I'm going to go to the next highest prime, which is 3. Again, 5 divided by 3 would give me a decimal, so I'm going to move to the next highest prime, which is 5. Now, I know that I can divide 5 into 5, and it's going to leave me with 1. So, once again, it's 1 and done. So my two prime factors of 10 are 2 times 5. Now, in order to find the lowest common multiple here, what I'm going to do is examine the two factor sets at the bottom. So over here with 4, I have 2 times 2, and with 10, I have 2 times 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the numbers that come up most frequently. So on the 4 side, 2 times 2 comes up. So I'm going to write those two numbers down. And over here on this side, I have a 5 that comes up. So if I multiply the 2 times the 2 times the 5 together, 2 times 2 is 4, times 5 is 20, which gives us the exact same result that we got before. So here's one more method in which you can find lowest common multiples of numbers. Another way that I can find the lowest common multiples is by using a Venn diagram. Hopefully everyone's seen a Venn diagram before. It's pretty much two circles that overlap, and on one side would be information you would put down about something that is different than the other side, and then right in the middle is something that they would have in common or something that would be the same. So we can use the Venn diagram to help us find lowest common multiples. On this side I'm going to put our number 4 and again our number 10. Now, from our previous discussion about prime factorization, I know my prime factors of 4 are 2 times 2. I also know my prime factors over here are 5 times 2. So what I'm going to do now is look at each set of factors and ask myself, are there any numbers that they have in common? And the answer is yes. There's a 2 right there, and there's a 2 right there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the number that is the same in the middle, and I'm going to get rid of the 2 here and here, because now I put them in the center of it. So now what I'm going to do is multiply what's left together. So I have 2 times 2 times 5, and 2 times 2 times 5 gives me an LCM, or lowest common multiple, of 20. So here are some really handy strategies that you can use to find lowest common multiples, and hopefully they help you out. Okay, thanks a lot. See ya.